Falador, East Bank, sometime in 2005. A kid, 11, maybe 12, playing on the family computer with the monitor that hums, you know the one, has just been told something wonderful by a stranger in a cape. If you give him your full mithril armor, he can trim it for you, so you can look super cool and show it to your friends and stuff. You know how this story ends. Everyone who was there knows how this story ends. Let's cut to now. A player, mid-fight, needs to know a mechanic or a drop rate. Alt-tab, 4 seconds, both answers, exact, source, current as of this Wednesday's patch. Back before the next tick. Same game, same servers, same 600 milliseconds, and those two players might as well be on different planets. The distance between them is the subject of this video, because somewhere between Falador and the raid, half of Old School RuneScape moved outside the game onto a website Jagex doesn't update. And I want to argue that this was the most consequential, slow interface change in the game's history, that it never appeared in any patches, and that at the critical moment, Jagex did something I can't find another studio of its size doing. It looked at the fan project eating its game and handed over the keys. That last part comes later. First, back to Falador. Timeline 1. The Folklore Era. Here's what information was before documentation. It was a guy. Everybody had a guy. A cousin, a clanmate, a stranger at the anvils who seemed to know things. Knowledge moved person to person at the speed of typing, and it mutated as it went because there was no way to check anything against anything. Some of the folklore was innocent. What a quest unlocks, half-right advice about training, treasure map logic passed between kids. Some of it was malicious. The armour-trimming scam ran for years. I can trim your rune for free, just trade it over. And it worked, at scale. Because the claim was unfalsifiable. Nobody could look up whether trimming was a real service, and as kids, nobody knew better. There was nowhere to look. An entire criminal economy operated inside the gap where a reference book should have been. The world felt enormous. Ignorance has no edges. When you don't know what's over the hill is infinite, and every player carried around a personal, wrong, wonderful map of what the game contained. I actually really missed this era, but also it was mostly just noise. The mystery, quote-unquote, we grieve was in the median case a 12-year-old confidently telling another 12-year-old something false. Timeline 2 begins as an accuracy war. Fan sites appeared early. Databases, forums, calculators, all competing on one axis, being less wrong than the guy at the anvil. The wiki format won because it documents corrections faster than anything else humans have invented, and by the OSRS era, the community had built something strange. A reference work more rigorous than most published encyclopedias about a video game maintained by volunteers, verified by data mining, and tens of thousands of kills worth of sample sizes. Players were reverse engineering drop tables out of sheer statistical patience. The game had hidden numbers. The community was extracting them one kill at a time like archaeologists, which set up a really interesting standoff. Every big game has a meta resource like this, and studios historically respond somewhere on a spectrum from ignoring it to fighting it, obfuscating numbers, patching around data miners, treating external knowledge as a leak. Here's what happened then. In 2018, Jagex went the other way. The community wiki walked out of its old ad-farm host, set up independently, and Jagex backed it. Officially, publicly, with support, and eventually with a button in-game. Look at your minimap area in the modern client. There is a wiki lookup built into the interface. The developer put a door to the fan side inside the game. And in the years since, Jagex has increasingly handed the wiki the real numbers, actual drop rates from the actual code published straight into the reference work, ending decades of community guessing at odds through brute force sampling. Think about what the button really is, structurally. Is the studio acknowledging in shipped UI that the game cannot be played from inside the game? And I mean that as the highest compliment I can give, because every other studio's pride would have fought that sentence to the death. And Jagex put it in the client instead. Because by then it was just true and the design had started assuming it. This is the part that I find most interesting as a design question, and tell me your thoughts in the comments. Modern OSRS content is balanced for the wiki open player. The tile dance bosses, the puzzle rooms, the gear check raised with their spreadsheet preparation, the tuning presumes the lookup in advance. It has to. When 90-something% of your players console the reference work, and I can't source an exact figure and I don't want to invent one, but I know and everyone knows that practically everybody uses the wiki. Designing for the blind player means designing for almost nobody. The players actually create content out of the fact that they play without the wiki. Look at Alien Food's Unguided series or Mad Season. The wiki stopped being a companion to the game's difficulty and became a component of it. An encounter is hard, or fair, or overtuned relative to the player with the page open. There's a channel adjacent example that makes this concrete. Quests. The old design assumed you'd be lost and you either had to figure out or ask someone in the world, back to the word of mouth approach. Being lost was the content, and the modern player runs Quest Helper or a wiki walkthrough without a second thought. In fact, modern quests are designed to be solvable without the wiki precisely because everyone de facto uses the wiki for everything, whereas old quests were incredibly vague. It's ironic that the fact that old quests are janky and confusing was one of the main motivations for the incredible documentation the game has today, and this prompted modern quests to be easier to solve today blind. The design and the documentation have fused together. You can define an interface as the layer standing between what you want and the game's response, and by that definition, the wiki is the primary display, and the client is just where you execute what the wiki on the other screen is telling you. Now, there is a side to this coin where some might argue that the modern wiki and spreadsheet-based approach ruined the game, and you'll find it under every nostalgia thread, and it goes like this. Perfect information that we have today flattened the world. Nothing is far away when everything is indexed. Nothing is a secret when every secret has a dedicated page. And the 11-year-old infinite map got replaced by an actual map, which is smaller because real things are always smaller than imagined ones. The people who say this aren't wrong. Something real died here. But two things. First, check the time of death. Personal discovery dies the moment you have one friend who knows more than you, which makes the Folklore Era a period of worse documentation rather than blind exploration. By the time the wiki existed, there was little left for it to murder. The mystery died in about 2002 at the speed of the first forums, and what filled the next decade and a half was noise with a good presentation. Scams, myths, just confident nonsense. The wiki flattened the world less than it cleared up misinformation. And second, there's a kind of knowledge the wiki cannot hold, and it happens to be the kind this game runs on. The wiki can tell you the odds. It cannot experience the variance for you. Your first fire cape is not on the page. Going 2000 kills dry is not on the page. The rate is precisely the thing that makes the 2000 kills yours. Everything the wiki indexes is what's true for everybody. Everything that keeps you logging in is what happened to you.
Oh! What? My hurts! Oh my god!
The kid in Falador never got the mithril armor back. What he got instead, eventually, was what we all got. The missing reference book. The one whose absence the scam lived in. Written after the fact by thousands of volunteers for free until it became good enough that the game's own developer conceded the point and built it a door. Maybe the scamming experience motivated the kid to contribute to the wiki himself a few years later. Most studios treat the space around the game as either marketing or threat. This one, at least once, treated it as part of the game. So the biggest interface update in Old School RuneScape history, with no patch notes, no poll, no release date anyone can name, it shipped to the other monitor, constantly open for everyone. And it's open for you right now as well, isn't it?